want to invite you to step out of the daily momentum for just a moment and ask yourself a question that our modern world rarely gives us the time or silence to confront. Why are you so tired? We are told by the wellness industries and the corporate modules that our exhaustion is a personal failure. We are told we need better time management, better sleep hygiene, or another application on our phones to optimize our downtime. But let's speak with absolute candor tonight. You're not tired because you're weak. Your fatigue is not physical. It is ontological. It is the exhaustion of a conscious being whose life energy is being systematically harvested by a structure they cannot see. The great philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti once observed, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." Yet, that's exactly what we have been trained to do. Like many of you, I am a common person. I work a full-time job. I manage operations, worry about variances, and look at the data sheets. I have children whose eyes look at me with an unblemished expectation of the future. And like every parent, every citizen who still possesses a spark of humanity, I stay up late into the night wondering how we became so completely captured. We want to change things. We want to be stewards of a better world for the next generation. But the moment we reach out to act, the immediate demands of survival pull us back under. This is the masterwork of the unseen architecture. It is the system designed to keep you just tired enough to comply, just anxious enough to consume, and entirely too distracted to realize that the cage you're living in was built with your own labor. How did we arrive at this point where human existence feels like a subscription service we can no longer afford? It did not happen overnight. It was constructed over 50 years of deliberate, calculated policy choices that treated the sacred foundation of human life as mere a line item on the corporate balance sheet. For the last 5 decades, leaders across the political spectrum abandoned the ancient duty of stewardship and adopted a new theology, the total financialization of resilience. They stripped the shock absorbers out of the civilization to feed the insatiable demand for quarterly yield. The Reagans, Mulroney, Thatcher era, the Clinton and Christian era, the Bush era, the Obama era, Trump, Trudeau, and Biden eras. The priority was never us. It was the market. Whenever the machine broke, they did not fix the engine. They printed the difference. Through quantitative easing, central banks flooded the asset markets with trillions of dollars, inflating the wealth of the top 1% to historic heights, while leaving the working class to be crushed by the silent, violent tax of inflation. The physical consequence of this theology is a world with zero redundancies. When Winter Storm Uri hit in Texas in 2021, the grid collapsed, not because the weather was unprecedented, but because winterizing the gas pipelines was deemed inefficient by the corporate boards. People froze to death in their living rooms, while energy companies recorded billions in windfall profits. This is the mechanical law of our current era. They privatize the gains and they socialize the trauma. But why do we endure this? Why does a multiracial, multi-generational base of millions of working people remain passive while the equity of their lives is siphoned upwards? Because the unseen architecture understands that solidarity is the only true threat to its existence. If we were to look up and see the scale of theft, the machine would stop tomorrow. Therefore, the system's primary defense mechanism is the manufacture of division. It turns our attention away from the boardroom and down towards our neighbors. The algorithms that govern our digital lives are not communication tools. They are high-frequency emotional trading engines. They have discovered that nothing generates time on site, like outrage, fear, and tribalism. The system takes our very real economic pain, the fact that a father cannot buy groceries, that the mother cannot afford rent, and channel it into a zero-sum psychological war over identity. Look at the housing crisis across North America today. Institutional landlords and private equity firms use algorithmic software to coordinate rent increases, treating neighborhoods as yield delivery mechanisms. Yet, look at the narratives we are being fed. In the United States, politicians flood the airwaves with images of southern border, telling the worker you are poor because an undocumented migrant crossed a line. In Canada, the state hyper-focuses on international students and temporary workers, whispering your world is shrinking because there are too many bodies in the room. This is the tragedy of horizontal hostility. The system trains the working class renter to direct their fury at the immigrant delivering their food or the student standing at the bus stop. We view them as competitors for a dwindling world while remaining completely blind to the corporate entity that just raised our rent by $400 a month to satisfy a foreign pension fund's yield requirements. We are fighting over the crumbs on the floor while the architects are carrying away the bakery. But this is the point where everything changes. Victor Hugo famously wrote, "Nothing else in the world, not all the armies, is so powerful as an idea whose time has come." The unseen architecture has made a critical error. In its quest for total efficiency, it has developed tools that can now be turned back upon the machine itself. We possess a resource that no generation of reformers, thinkers, or revolutionaries has ever had before: the artificial intelligence. For centuries, power has protected itself through the deliberate curation of complexity. The elite bury their loopholes in 5,000-page legislative bills. They hide their predatory pricing behind proprietary algorithms. They mask their corruption in dense legal jargon. They know that a common person working a full-time job simply does not have the cognitive bandwidth or the hours in the day to audit the fine print. But AI does not sleep. If we strip AI away from the custody of big tech and recenter it as an open source, human-centric public utility, it becomes the ultimate accountability mirror. Imagine an AI tool that can instantly digest a municipal budget and expose exactly where public funds are being laundered into private hands. Imagine a model that tracks food cost variances across grocery oligopolies, proving mathematically where inflation ends and corporate price gouging begins. Imagine a system that maps the true title deed of every home on your street, lifting the corporate veil of offshore shell companies. AI gives the common person the power of 1,000 specialists. It strips the political theater away from the law and tells the base exactly how the ledger is being rigged. For the first time in history, we do not need to guess how the machine works. We can make its entire circuit board transparent. My friends, I'm not presenting these ideas as a theorist. I am presenting them as a builder who is willing to do his part. I am tired of watching our children enter an educational system designed in the 19th century to prune away their natural genius and turn them into compliant components of a corporate motherboard. I am tired of watching our communities fracture along the lines of identity that were engineered in a digital boardroom to keep us from looking at the balance sheets. I'm willing to make the change. I'm willing to invest my time, my energy, and my resources into designing the sovereign skill set for the next generation. But a single hand cannot dismantle an architecture this vast. We need a collective awakening. The transition from efficient battery to sovereign architect begins when we stop waiting for the savior to appear on a screen. The revolution we need is not one of the violence or chaos. It is a revolution of construction. It is the quiet, radical act of looking down your own street and finding the exhausted specialists, the engineers, the teachers, the mechanics, the nurses, the organizers, and realizing that our localized expertise is the only thing that can stabilize our communities when the centralized grid fails. The visionary thinker Ursula Le Guin once wrote, "We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable. So did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings." The unseen architecture is a human power. It is not a law of physics. It is a choice of engineering, and what has been engineered can be re-engineered. The time has come to change how we live, how we eat, how we breathe, how we govern, and how we exist as conscious beings. We are the ones who build the roads, who run the hospitals, who operate the stores, and who raise the children. The elite do not hold the world together. We do. Please read the book and see for yourself. The cage is unlocked. The ledger is open. Let's stop looking at the distractions on our screens. Look into the eyes of the person standing next to us and begin the great correction. Let's build the future we were born to inhabit. Thank you.